Hello and welcome to a new lesson. What is a sentence? In this lesson, we will talk about types of sentences. And what are the types of sentences? Simple sentence, compound sentence, and complex sentence. And in the process of discussion of types of sentences, we will also talk about what is clause, independent clause and dependent clause. So let's discuss each one of the grammatical items in detail. The first one is, what is a sentence? So let's talk about this. What is a sentence? A sentence is basically a group of words that makes a complete meaning, that gives you a complete thought, that provides you a complete idea, and that really makes a complete sense. If any sentence that can mean something to you, that means that is an example of sentence. What else more we have about sentence? A sentence must start with capital letter, and we all know what are the capital letters. Like this one, we have A, B, C and D, and must end with full stop, sometimes with question mark depending upon the type of sentence you have, and exclamatory mark. And this one is like an example of full stop, question mark and an exclamatory mark. We continue our discussion about sentence examples of sentences. Let's have one example. David is a doctor. It gives you a complete meaning, complete sense, complete idea, complete thought. The first letter is capital. At the end, it has full stop. Therefore, this is one of the best examples of sentence. But if I take up another one like Dr. A is David, does it make any sense? Does it give any meaning? No meaning at all. It does not give any sense, and therefore we can say this is no sentence at all. So if a sentence that cannot give the meaning, that cannot qualify as a sentence. Take another example. Is Tom a doctor? Question mark. Of course, it's a question type sentence. So question mark we have. So this is also an example of sentence. What a great doctor Tom is, with exclamatory mark. Therefore, this is also an example of sentence. So what we have come to know about sentence is that it must give us a complete meaning, complete idea, must start with capital letter and end with full stop, question mark or exclamatory mark. Okay, now we move on to the next step. That is to say, what is a simple sentence? Let's talk about this. What is a simple sentence? A simple sentence must have one subject and one verb. We have some more ideas, and it must express complete thought. Let's have some examples. Mary wrote. This sentence has one subject and one verb. Therefore, this is an example of simple sentence. We take another example. Fatima reads a book. This sentence has one subject and one verb. After verb, you may have 1, 2, 3 objects. It doesn't matter. What I mean to say is that a simple sentence at least must have one subject and one verb. And this sentence has one subject and one verb. Let's have another example. Rani thinks. Of course, one subject and one verb. And of course, all of them give complete thought as well. Take another example. Mary is beautiful. One subject and one verb. Of course, it's helping verb. Ali is writing. One subject and one verb. Is writing, helping the main verb. So what we come to know about simple sentence is that it must have at least one subject and one verb. Now we understand what is a simple sentence. We move on to the next step. That is to say, what is a compound sentence? Let's talk about this. What is a compound sentence? A compound sentence is a sentence that connects two simple sentences. Take example, Rayyan is a girl. This is a simple sentence because it does have one subject and one verb, as I told you just a while ago. Take another example. She is a student. A simple sentence. Now these two sentences, what we call compound sentence, is a sentence that connects two simple sentences. And when we connect, Rayyan is a girl, and we need one connector. And what is one connector? We call it coordinating conjunction. So we need a connector, coordinating conjunction, to connect two simple sentences to make a compound sentence. So Rayyan is a girl and she's a student. So this becomes an example of compound sentence. Okay, we move on to the next. Let's discuss more about this. What is a compound sentence? It connects two independent clauses. I just talked about it connects two simple sentences. Sometimes two simple sentences, when you put together in a compound sentence, it plays the role of independent clauses. But then The question is, what is an independent clause? Let's discuss something about this. An independent clause stands alone. Like simple sentence, it stands alone. It gives you a complete meaning. An independent clause has one subject and one verb. Like simple sentence, it must contain one subject and one verb. Take another example, another idea. It also gives a complete meaning, like simple sentence. So what we come to the point is that an independent clause has the same features as those of simple sentence. Therefore, we can say a simple sentence always forms an independent clause. How? Let's see. With example, Rayyan is a girl. Simple sentence because we have a full stop, complete meaning, one subject and one verb. She is a student. An example of simple sentence, complete meaning, one subject and one verb. Now, when I connect these two sentences with coordinating conjunction, like Rayyan is a girl and she is a student. So here, Rayyan is a girl is an example of independent clause because it is a part of this compound sentence. Likewise, she is a student is also an example of independent clause. So when you write it, Rayyan is a girl with full stop, it is a simple sentence. But the same Rayyan is a girl and you connect it with and continue the sentence, she is a student, then the same sentence becomes a clause of compound sentence, and this is known as independent clause. That is the idea here. Okay, now we continue our discussion about compound sentence. We have some more ideas to understand what really compound sentence is all about. It is always joined by coordinating conjunctions. If you want to know what is a compound sentence, then try to see if it is joined by coordinating conjunctions. If two simple sentences, if two independent clauses are joined by coordinating conjunctions or not. But then the question is, what is a coordinating conjunction? Because until you know what is coordinating conjunction, you cannot connect two simple sentences, two independent clauses together. So let's have an idea about this briefly. A coordinating conjunction joins two words, phrases or clauses. And in English language, particularly in English grammar, of course, there are 7 coordinating conjunctions in English. Now, what are they? The first one is for, the second one is and, third one is nor, fourth one is but, fifth one is or, sixth one is yet, and seventh one is so. These are 7 coordinating conjunctions. With the help of these coordinating conjunctions, we join two simple sentences. That is to say, we join two independent clauses to make a compound sentence. If you want to memorize what are those 7 coordinating conjunctions, you can keep this phrase in mind. Fanboys. F stands for, A for and, N for nor, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, and S for so. So fanboys, if you keep in mind, this represent 7 coordinating conjunctions. Okay, hope you understand. Now let's have some examples of compound sentence. One example of a compound sentence. As I told you, compound sentence need two simple sentences. Like we have one simple sentence and I can say or I can write, I can speak, I am thirsty. Take another simple sentence and I can say, I'm not hungry. Now we have two simple sentences. And together, if I connect these two simple sentences, it becomes a sentence like this: I am thirsty, but I am not hungry. So the same two simple sentences in the compound sentence, I am thirsty, it is known as independent clause. I am not hungry, it is now known as independent clause. Okay, take another example of compound sentence. Example number 2, and we have simple sentence: I have a laptop. I take another simple sentence: I also have a mobile. And I connect these two sentences and it looks like this: I have a laptop and I also have a mobile. So what we get to know is that two simple sentences, when you combine them, connect them with coordinating conjunction, then the same simple sentence takes the place of independent clause. We call it independent clause grammatically. Okay, now we continue our discussion to the next stage, that is to say, what is a complex sentence? What is a complex sentence? We continue our discussion. In fact, complex sentence must have two segments, must have two parts, must have two essential elements. What are they? The first one is main clause and the second one is subordinate clause. But the question is, what do we mean by clause? What is a clause? Let's first discuss about clause, because until you understand what is a clause, you cannot understand really what a complex sentence is all about. So we can say clause or a clause refers to a group of words with a subject and a verb, like a simple sentence. Okay, it is a part of a sentence. Like simple sentence, if you connect them with coordinating conjunctions, then it becomes a clause, what we called previously independent clause. And clause is always a part of a sentence. Sometimes it may become a sentence in itself. Take an example to understand this point. Rayyan is a girl and she is a student. What here we understand is that Rayyan is a girl, since it is a part of a sentence, compound sentence, so we can call it clause. And she is a student, since it is a part of compound sentence, not complex sentence at the moment, because I'm talking about clause. So here it is referred to as clause. And this we call it independent clause. We'll talk more about this as we progress. We continue our discussion. So sometimes it may become a sentence in itself. So Rayyan is a girl. If you separate it and put it away with full stop, then it's in itself, this sentence becomes a sentence. Likewise, she is a student. If you separate it and put full stop, in itself, this clause can play a role of simple sentence. Okay, now continue the discussion about what I meant to say. What is a complex sentence? As I told, it has two main branches, main clause and subordinate clause. But the question is, what is main clause? What does it mean? It gives us the main idea. It gives us the primary idea, central idea. And subordinate clause, it is referred to secondary idea, subordinate idea that is not primary, that is not main, that is not principal, that is not central. Further, we can say main clause, what we call main idea or primary idea, is also referred to as independent clause because it does not depend upon any other clause for its meaning. And secondary or subordinate clause is referred to as dependent clause. Now, let's try to understand this concept with examples. You will definitely succeed in life. This is the best example of independent clause because it gives you a complete meaning. It carries the main idea, primary idea. So we can also say it main idea. Now take another example. If you work hard, the sentence is like this. You will definitely succeed in life if you work hard. The part or the clause, if you work hard, this is an example of dependent clause. Why? Because if I say, if you work hard and I stop, this doesn't give any meaning. This clause depends upon the independent clause for its complete meaning. Therefore, we call dependent clause. Why? Because it carries secondary idea. It does not carry the primary or main idea. We can understand the whole idea like this in a sentence. You will definitely succeed in life if you work hard. So what we get is that this is an example of complex sentence. And why we say complex sentence? Because complex sentence must have subordinating conjunctions, must be joined by subordinating conjunctions. Compound sentence, as I previously talked about, must join coordinating conjunctions. But complex sentence must be joined by subordinating conjunctions. And we have some coordinating conjunctions, for example, if, when, while, until, even though, in case, so that, and so on. We have a number of subordinating conjunctions. If any sentence that starts with this contains any one of these subordinating conjunctions, that could be an example of complex sentence. And a complex sentence cannot be formed without the help of subordinating conjunctions, what we call subordinate clause. Because subordinating conjunctions help form subordinate clause in the complex sentence. We continue our discussion, and I hope if I give you some examples, we'll understand this concept much better. One example of a complex sentence. We have independent clause. You cannot leave the school. And take another example. Dependent clause. Until the bell rings. And if you put together, it becomes like you cannot leave the school until the bell rings. So what we find is that the word until, which is subordinating conjunction, helps form complex sentence. Take another example of complex sentence. In dependent clause, you can win, and dependent clause, if you play well, and if you put together, you can win if you play well. So what we notice is that a complex sentence is always formed with the help of subordinating conjunctions. Compound sentence is always formed with the help of coordinating conjunctions. In this lesson, I hope you have understood the concept. What is sentence? What is a simple sentence? What is a compound sentence? What is a complex sentence? What is clause? What is an independent clause? What is a dependent clause? What are coordinating conjunctions? And what are subordinating conjunctions? Hope you understand the concept. Thank you and goodbye.